Well, Happy New Year, everyone. This is the beginning of a new decade, my fourth, and um, there's a lot that has gone on really in the last 3 years, but especially the last 10. I've talked about it when I was maintaining a blog, I've talked about it on social media, I've talked about it here, and really the last 20 years pardon me, the last 20 years really give us a lot of examples of things we should do, things we shouldn't do, and examples of why. 2001 saw the worst day in American history since Pearl Harbor, and the beginning of what has been almost an endless war against a group of people who seek the utter destruction of the country. Pardon me. This ultimately, I believe, led to what happened in 2008. But then nothing really changed there. We saw drones, we saw a lot of things happen that really were just the status quo of the global war on terror. What we saw, though, in 2008 was the beginning of a lot of things that lead us to where we are today. We saw Ferguson, Missouri. We saw so many other problems. And now we have a world where police and other first responders, the military, are demonized and vilified and lauded at the same time. And that is a big thing that needs to change. I will be the first to admit, I'm not a cop. I tried it. I thought for years I wanted to go into law enforcement. And I joined my local sheriff's department as a detention officer. Side note, if you hear the word detention officer, that is someone who works for a city or county jail. City and county is not about corrections. It is not about rehabilitation. It is a short-term detention. And that's all it ever will be. Because you should not sit in county or city for more than, I would think, maybe a 90-day sentence. And I did never see anyone longer than that. If you're going longer than that, you're headed for state or federal. That is corrections. And that's where an attempt at rehabilitation is made. Unfortunately, they fail. But after a year, I knew it. I was not meant to be law enforcement. I left the sheriff's department and found a job and went back to work as a civilian. And then in 2003, I joined my local volunteer fire department, and I fell in love. It is one of the strangest things you'll ever hear anyone say, but it's truly what happens. Yes, I know there are cops, there are firefighters, there are EMTs, there are soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, Coast Guardsmen, National Guardsmen, that they do it as a job, and they don't last long. Honestly, they never will. Sorry about the coughing, but I'm trying to mute. Because those jobs require you to want to be there. I dragged myself to work for a year as a detention officer and hated it after about the second month. I was early for every VFD meeting. I spent nights there. I spent days there studying as I was going back to college. I spent my afternoons there watching TV to be around my brothers and sisters in red. And we ate meals together. We joked around together. We did all of it. The only prank that we had pulled on us that we didn't like was somebody actually got caught trying to put itching powder in our boots. And I will tell you, for anyone thinking about going to work as a cop or a firefighter, do not mess with clothing. Okay? Period. Leave the lockers and the gear alone. Imagine a firefighter stepping into a set of boots filled with itching powder on their way to a fire. You're going to cripple them. Okay, Vaseline on a doorknob, saran wrap on a toilet, things like that, they're normal. Okay, we get a little upset when it happens and then we prank you back. But that's the way it is. But we duct taped a guy to a pole, not like you saw on Dude Perfect or Adam Savage on Mythbusters, where their weight was suspended. He was on the ground, but he was duct taped to a pole for an hour, and he learned his lesson. He also learned he's not cut out to be an engineer at the fire department, as he backed into the garage with all the doors open and badly damaged a several $100,000 vehicle. But the 4 years I spent on the fire department were the best for me. I still talk to my friends. I still go to the VFD down here on Fish Fridays. I still talk about tying knots. I mean, it's like you would expect from someone who was in an industry that inspires a lot of camaraderie, a sense of brotherhood, really, a sense of family. We would have all rushed into the jaws of death to save each other, to save people we don't even know. But I started seeing, especially in 2016, what I had seen since 2001 break down. In 2001, we were a very divided country. Not to the point we are today, but we were a divided country. It was very much conservative and liberal. 2001 saw an end to that, and we were united in our desire and our drive to not be destroyed. Unfortunately, we're right back where we were 18 years ago. And that's very dangerous. We look at what happened just a couple of days ago on Sunday in West Settlement, Fort Worth, for those who don't know, with the attempted mass shooting at the West Freeway Church of Christ. And look at what's being said about that tragedy. We have Robert O'Rourke, we have Biden, we have Harris, Booker, Pelosi, we have all of the very prominent people on the left speaking and unfortunately lying about the situation. I'm blocked by Shannon Watts on Twitter. I still get screenshots of her stuff, but she blatantly lied when she said Texas does not require a background check for long guns. That is a lie. Please, someone send this video to Shannon. Let her know that I am calling her a bald-faced liar. I have purchased pistols, shotguns, and rifles. I will do it again. Every sale required a background check. There's another moron on Twitter who's trying to say that the background check only takes 3 minutes and it doesn't do anything except go to the FBI and they run it later, and if you fail, they come take your guns. That's wrong. I have seen people fail that background check. When I went to purchase my current concealed carry weapon, which is not in any way an assault weapon or a military grade anything, but when I went and I purchased that pistol, I was third in line, and the person ahead of me failed their background check. The person behind me failed their background check because they had recently moved and the address they were living at did not match their driver's license. They were told, come back when you have your new driver's license. Something that simple, and you failed the check. And the sale is denied. That's for pistols, rifles, and shotguns at every FFL dealer. That includes pawn shops, and that includes dealers at a gun show. The lie about gun shows is that it is private sales. Well, that's a garage sale. That's someone who is having an estate sale. That is someone who decides, I don't use this shotgun, I have it in 5 years, I'm going to sell it to my neighbor. And there is no way, short of registration, which is unconstitutional, and a requirement that you contact the federal government to request permission to sell your property to someone you know, or someone at all, and then forms and everything else. I can guarantee you, if that ever becomes law, one, I'll never sell another firearm on my own. And two, every private sale that is requested will be denied and the firearm confiscated. You will have members of the government say, I'm sorry, you're not authorized to sell that. You're also no longer authorized to own it because you tried to sell it, hand it over, or go to jail. I don't sell my guns at this point to anyone other than an FFL dealer. The only gun I have sold in the last 20 years, actually I take that back, two that I've sold in the last 20 years. One was a Smith & Wesson 40 caliber, the Sigma series. There's a reason you don't see those in shops, and that's because it was a bad model. It was a bad product. The other was a Springfield XDS 45. It's a subcompact in 45 ACP. That is also a bad model for anyone other than someone like Robert O'Burst or Hafthor Bjornsson, who are flipping huge. I'm not trying to brag here. I am a crack shot. I compete in marksmanship competitions when I can. I have to be on target every time. I couldn't control the XDS 45. It's just too powerful for the size and weight it was. I sold it back, both of them. I sold back to the dealer that I bought it from. The Sigma was actually a return. The XDS, I just said, can't stand it. I don't want the possibility that a weapon I sell to someone, even someone I know personally and well, might be used in a crime. I have upset family and friends because of that. Because I said, if you want to buy this, we're going to go down to the store. I'll pay the $20 to have them run the background check, but you're going to go through it. The one time that was possibly going to happen, they said no, and they left. But that's the way I think. It's the way I prefer to live. We saw something else this decade, though. A very dangerous statement by a member of Congress just about 7 years ago with the supposed Affordable Care Act. We have to pass it to find out what's in it. Now, aside from that being a load of bull, aside from it being dangerous, it's a bald-faced lie. You have to find out what's in it before you pass it. That is literally the job of Congress. You are supposed to make public what a law is going to do. You are supposed to allow debate. You are supposed to pass the law only when it has been thoroughly vetted. But the Democrats wanted it. The Democrats controlled the House and the Senate at the time, if I remember right, and decided, no, we're going to pass this, then we'll tell you what's in it. The second it passed, I lost my doctor, I lost my plan, my cost more than tripled, and the benefits I got from the ACA approved plan were going to ER and begging them for a payment plan the 2 times I had to go because I couldn't afford to go to my new primary care physician. My mother, who was 62 at the time and therefore not eligible for Medicare or Medicaid, was forced to purchase a plan that she could barely afford, that only one doctor who was over 100 miles away one way would accept her with as a new patient. She called. She told him this. The representative on the phone actually said, well, if you were single, you'd be eligible for cheaper plans. Literally hinting, divorce your husband even if you don't leave him. They don't care. And this goes into the Second Amendment debate. It goes into the bullcrap hate speech rhetoric that we hear. It goes into everything. And it proves we need new blood in Congress. We got a little bit in the last 2 elections, but not nearly enough. When you look at AOC, when you look at Omar, when you look at Tlaib, when you look at Tulsi, and honestly, I can't say anything about them being new blood because they slotted right in with the Democratic National Committee and they are towing the party line. And it needs to stop. Unfortunately, we'll never get term limits no matter how much Cruz and AOC supposedly support it, because it requires a 2/3 vote in the Senate and a 2/3 vote in the House. Then 3/4 of the states must ratify. There is the option of an Article 5 Convention of States, where if 2/3 of states, 34, call for the convention, then a 2/3 vote there passes the amendment to the states. 3/4 of states must then ratify. Basically meaning 34 must agree to call, 34 must pass the amendment at the convention, 38 must ratify. We need to stop this prepubescent insanity. Okay, we see it at Berkeley, in Portland, in Seattle, and other places where the supposed anti-fascists are using violence to shut down speech. Literally using fascist ideology and fascist actions and not seeing the insanity of it. We have people screaming that the president must be impeached, but they won't name a crime. The House articles that they passed does not name any crime. They literally impeached Donald Trump because he beat Hillary Clinton in 2016, and he won't step down when they tell him to. They also won't pass it to the Senate because they know it's dead on arrival, because without a crime, there can be no trial. And they know that Chief Justice Roberts and Majority Leader McConnell will say, wait a minute, there's no crime. If there's no crime, there's no charge, there's no trial. And they're trying to convince us that impeachment for nothing is a good thing. I'm not going to tell you that you need to be conservative. I'm not going to tell you that you need to stop being liberal. I'm not going to tell you who you must vote for. I'm going to tell you who I want you to vote for. I'm going to tell you who I support, and I'm going to ask you to make up your own mind. I taught middle and high school for 2 years, and I never once told my students what to think. I told them how to think. And I had an amazing rapport with every student that I taught, even though I knew about half of them were diametrically opposed to me on politics. I taught them the facts of history, government, economics, sociology, psychology, geography. I taught them the right information for the class. When they would ask something that required an opinion, I would tell them, this is my opinion, and this is why it is my opinion, but you must make up your own mind. I taught high school most recently, and I told them, you're about to join the adult workforce. You're about to join the quote-unquote real world. Whether you go to college, trade school, or into the workforce, it does not matter. You will be adults, and you need to be able to think for yourself, to use logic and rationale to make your own choice. But we now have a society where disagreement is cause for violence from an entire segment of society, and it needs to stop. I firmly believe that Donald J. Trump will be president for 4 more years as of the election of 2020, because a lot of people who voted against him in 2016 have watched the Democrats literally say, because this man speaks in a way we don't like, because he will not step down because we tell him to, we're going to impeach him for nothing. They're now seeing that the articles of impeachment listed no crime. And they're seeing that the Democrats are the party of you will obey or be made to obey. I'll leave you with this because I'm getting a little bit hoarse and I need to go to bed. But read Brave New World, read 1984, read Animal Farm, read Fahrenheit 451. Huxley, Orwell, and Bradbury were prophets. Brave New World is the closest to what we're looking at our world becoming, where every drug is legal, where abortion is all but mandatory, where you are kept pliant, and those in power do everything they tell you is illegal. It has aspects of 1984 because they want the people they deem worthy of being law enforcement or military to be the only people carrying any weapon and keeping people in line. It has aspects of Fahrenheit 451 where the media is very much beholden to the party that is the loudest right now, the Democrats, and you are only told what they want you to hear. If you don't want a world where you are controlled 24/7, where you are kept pliant, and where you are kept in line through threats of violence, then I would say run from the Democrats. If you want to see a bit of a vision of what a society like that might be, look at the movie Equilibrium. I joke about it being the first movie set in the future where Sean Bean dies, but it's Sean Bean and Christian Bale as members of the police force, but everyone in society is kept drugged to prevent any emotion. You literally go to school until you become an adult, and you are taught that father is infallible, and you must obey everything that is told to you. When you go to work as an adult, you literally march to work lockstep with your coworkers, work for the day, march home, watch the propaganda on television until you sleep in a bare room. And if you start to buck the system and embrace emotion, you are killed. That's where Huxley, Bradbury, Orwell all saw society starting to lean, and they tried to warn us. And we need to turn away from those warning societies we were warned about and return to a true free society where you're free to disagree, where you're free to live your life even if those in power say that's not what you should do. And I really hope we can stay free and avoid that, because it will not be a pretty time in history if someone tries to implement that. I've rambled. This is really just me talking, but I'm going to be doing a few things that are a bit different from my normal videos. I'm going to do a full review of 1984, Animal Farm, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451, and any other book that I feel is poignant. I'm going to start doing things like that, what I would do in class. I've done a few PowerPoint style videos that would have been a lecture I would have given. And that's more along the line of what I want to do. If I could be get a job as a teacher without being a coach, I would. Unfortunately, right now, that's not possible. So I'm going to put the lectures I would give out. And I hope people enjoy them and like them, and it sparks discussion. You know my only rule: stay civil. Stay respectful of the fact that other people have a right to their opinion. Make your point. Argue your point. But do so in a way that it is a civil and logical and respectful debate. It's the only way we learn from each other. I hope everyone has a happy new year. It is 4 minutes till midnight on my clock. I'm going to go on and end this now. Please make sure to subscribe so you stay notified of all new videos, because I don't have a schedule right now. Like the video if you like it. I want to start doing this more, and as always, I'm going to need an audience to do it. If there's no audience, there's no reason to. So I would ask you to subscribe and to get engaged in the comments so that we can continue a discussion. We can have that debate. Just remember, your right ends where the other fellow's nose begins. You have a right to your opinion, but so do they. You have a right to argue your opinion, but so do they. Act like an adult and you'll be treated like one. Act like a petulant teenager hurling insults at everyone and anyone, and you'll be kicked. I've done it. I'll do it again. The subscribe icon is on the screen, as is whatever YouTube apparently thinks is the best video for you. I hope you have a wonderful and prosperous and happy 2020, and I hope we can see the division start to heal in this country. Because until that starts, we're not going to get anything else done.